Okay. Well, without further ado, with that pre-entry introduction, Kathleen Norton Schock with the Michigan Council of Women in Technology joins us usually every month and towards the end of the month, and it's her time to tell us all about what's happening. And I know there's a whole slug of fall events going on, right?
Right. We've had a very busy 2023. I mean, every year we accelerate a little more. Traditionally, the autumn becomes a big, as it is in any kind of four-season state, right? That burst of electricity happens and the weather starts to get a little cooler. But we also had a very busy summer. As you know, we had tremendous camps. We had a whole bunch of things going on for the girls. But what I'm going to concentrate on right now is some of what I would call the adult and member programs, because that's what the immediate spate of events and activities are. We had our second golf fundraiser, the fourth one in West Michigan, right? Every year for 15 years, we've had one in Southeast Michigan. It's always a huge fundraiser. You guys knew about it. We talked about it months ago. It would happen in June, at the end of June. But we were very successful in our fourth West Michigan Golf Classic that took place on Monday, September 18th. So it's several weeks back now, raised over $100,000. And since that is still for us a younger of our events, that was a big success. And of course, that money goes, as all our money goes, to all of the various things we do, the college scholarships, the master's program scholarships, the girls' camps, and a whole bunch of other events and programs we sponsor for girls from K through 12 and then into college and post-college education, aimed at making Michigan the #1 state for girls and women in technology. So that happened a couple of weeks ago. And then last week we had a busy ConnectNet week. Now, ConnectNet are programs that we typically have. They can be in the evening, and often then they're in person, or we have luncheon, like lunch and learns, right? Mm-hmm. And this has been going on for almost a decade. Last week, we had several of them. One was a ConnectNet recap that had happened actually a week and a half ago called Automate, Electrify, and Thrive, which was sponsored by Mercedes-Benz. And honestly, I wish Gary was still on the line, because the 1-hour conversation had to do with what are the tech skills you should be concentrating on, what is increasing in the world of, AI right on top of us finally, natural language, machine language, AI right on top of us, and all the other places where there's dynamic change happening in technology, and hopefully technology is helping businesses. So we're happy and very grateful to Mercedes-Benz for sponsoring that one. And then one I sat in on last week. As you probably are aware, one of my clients, by the way, is a workforce company, and a very well-known workforce company for whom I do a lot of their messaging in the background. And so over the last 3 years, I've gotten very fascinated by the amount of, there's been an epidemic of mental health issues in our workforce, probably since all of us joined the workforce and before. It's just that now, thank goodness, in some ways, it's becoming more transparent, so that hopefully it can be addressed, disengagement, and just, sometimes undiagnosed or diagnosed mental health that is not treated either by the companies that employ these people or by the people themselves. And sometimes people have to take personal responsibility for embracing their own wellness. And there's been a revolution pre-COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID, with more and more of us becoming aware of how important it is to handle our own well-being and our own wellness. I'm a recovering workaholic, so I definitely do get it, right? So there was an excellent ConnectNet we did last week, and it came from member demand, if you will. And it was hosted by and pulled together by a woman who's been a very integral part of MCWT for almost as long as I have, so almost 2 decades, Dr. Kelly Harrison. I watched Kelly more or less grow up in a sense in technology. And now she is the director of global learning and development for Ford Motor Company. And she pulled together some amazing speakers to talk about embracing wellness, prioritizing self-care and boundaries, eliminating negative self-talk, dealing with imposter syndrome, which for one reason or another seems to affect more women professionals than it does men, but it affects us all, right? And taking a moment to pause, meditation. There was so much discussion in this hour and 10 minutes. But in any case, that ConnectNet was sponsored by AHEAD, and their chief people officer was one of our speakers, Kristen Supanik. She is also a longtime MCWT member. And then we had two other great speakers. Jonathan Grau has written several books on this subject and is an academic, but he also is in DC right now, part of a nonprofit foundation just dealing with this particular issue. And Dr. Sharice Williamson. And I don't know about anybody else who came out of it, but I came out with even more energy than I walked in. And I'm a pretty high energy person to begin with. But I imagine that each one of us brought all of this data. And by the way, I'm going to get a link to the webinar. I thought it was that good. And I was so grateful that all of the people who went to it, and it was well over 100 people sitting on this ConnectNet, are getting a link. So if you guys are interested, I'm going to email it to you too.
Yes, please.
And then, just dispense it to LTU, to Mike has a huge network, right? So, and looking at my network, which is quite big, I'm looking at maybe 50, 60 people who I know then will take it and put it other places. So that was wonderful. And then it was also interesting hearing Gary talk. You asked him about cybersecurity because, of course, we know that has been a growing area for, I don't know how long, since I've been in tech, 30 years, but or more than 30 plus years. But certainly for the last 10 years, it's been a growing area where women are looking to grab jobs and learn, and more girls. We have more and more sessions for girls in cybersecurity. Well, our next ConnectNet is Thursday, October 3rd, and it's called Cyber Journeys, and it's being sponsored by, I believe it's Ally Financial. Could be wrong about that one, but in any case, it's all things cybersecurity. So anybody who is interested in that, you don't have to be an MCWT member. You can go to www.mcwt.org and become a member, right? I mean, if you sign up for an event, it will say to you, do you want to become a member, which is fairly inexpensive. And then a part of your membership money, of course, goes to all the programs we do for girls and women. But it sounds like it's going to be a great event. And some of these people, I think you guys know, one of the speakers is JP Calabio, who's the Vice President of IT, and he's the CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer for Spartan Nash. And Scott Tresson, who's the Chief Information Security Officer for Corwell, formerly Beaumont. And then Angela Jago, who I don't know, but she works for Melanie Kalmer, who's always been a big influencer and was a leader of MCWT for a long time. And her title is Director, Global Insider Threat and Data Privacy Office for Dow Incorporated. So in any case, that is going to take place Thursday, October 3rd from 5 to 7 p.m. And I definitely suggest that people go to www.mcwt.org to register. Then, we have many programs. Scholarship programs are opening soon, lots of things. But one of the ones that has been growing, again, over 8 or 9 years, but certainly has really accelerated in the last 5 or 6, is what we call Ignite Mentoring, which is a valuable 6-month mentoring program offered to women mid-career, where we match them with senior level mentors, right? And it's very process oriented. It tends to be very effective. We have evolved and increased and improved the curriculum each year. Curriculum is the wrong way to put it. The process, if you will, and a lot of the templates and the guidance, et cetera, over the years based on feedback every year from mentees and mentors themselves. And I think I may have said this on one of our podcasts once, but I recognize from my own career that I've been a mentor to maybe 5 or 6 women, and typically it's in marketing in the technology field. And I find that as a mentor, I often learn more than the people I'm mentoring. So we are looking for mentees as usual, but we're also looking for people who might want to volunteer to be mentors. And I know for me, that's always been a tremendous learning experience. In any case, the applications to join the program are due now. They're opened on our site, www.mcwt.org. And the deadline date to apply to become a mentee is Wednesday, October 4th at midnight. Right. So that's coming up pretty quickly. And we would advise that if anybody wants to become a mentor or a mentee, that they go and look at the entire application process. It will be in what we call the adult programs on the top of the website. And then the last and final thing, and Jill Mayorano, Jill Brady Mayorano, who your guys are kind enough to let me have on, I think in February this past year, who was this year's executive director, made a big point in her 20 minutes with you on how we have realized and really come to the realization. I think it's been unconscious, but now it's very conscious and very to the fore in the MCWT strategy, that there is no way we couldn't have been as successful as we've been over the last 2 decades, if not for the allyship of brilliant male colleagues, right? So we want to encourage additional male colleagues who may not exactly know how to start on how to become allies to organizations like MCWT. So on Thursday, October 12th, we're having a virtual session called Men Learning from Women, Promoting Gender Inclusivity in Tech. And we have some great speakers. We have Christine Schock, who is the Director of Enterprise Architecture at CMS Energy. We have Fei Ang, who is Director of Enterprise Technology Operations, again at Ally. Heidi Musser, who's on our board and is a long-term C-level executive in technology spaces. And Karen Shankin, who is Director of IT Service Manager and Infrastructure at Flagstar Bank. So again, go to the www.mcwt.org website to register for that event. And then finally, I have a save the date for you guys. As you know, we do something called gala every year. This coming year will be the 15th. It is it's our fanciest fundraiser always, and we always are able to raise a lot of money. We auction things throughout the evening. It's black tie or close to it. It's fancy dress, right? And we call it I call it the IT prom. But in any case, this year, and because that's what we were calling it codenamed years ago, and I just can't get over the habit, right? So, and a lot of people do call it that too, because a lot of us don't get dressed up anymore as we get older, unless we're going to a wedding, right? Or something where somebody insists.
Or a funeral, yeah.
Right. Or again, a philanthropic fundraiser, yeah. Right? And so this is ours. And it will take place on Saturday, November 11th at MGM Grand in Detroit. The formal title of this year's events is Luminescence Gala. So of course there'll be lots of lights, and I'm sure they'll all be climate friendly. My husband would kill me if I didn't say that, right? Given what he's been doing for a living. But in any case, it's called Luminescence Gala. And you are invited to come and bring your guests. Individual tickets become available on September 29th. And right now, packages for sponsors, and we find these sell out really fast because lots of sponsors like to come and buy a table, let's say, and have their name on the program, or they want to sponsor a piece of the auction. And it's great if they haven't done something like this year. They haven't done golf with us, or they didn't do the executive connections forum, which you were at, Mike. This is the perfect time before the end of the year and the end of their budgets to give back to an organization that helps improve the career paths and missions of women in tech and girls in tech. So in any case, mark your calendars. It's Saturday, November 11th at MGM Grand, and we're going to be celebrating our 2 decades of inspiring training, motivating and placing girls and women into technology roles. So please come and join us. And as I said, individual tickets open September 29th. But if you work for any company that would like to be a sponsor of some kind, or you want to donate to the auction piece of this event, you can get in touch with us now. And all the connections, every single bit of information you could possibly need. Probably takes an hour now to get all the way through all the pages on our website, right? They keep growing and growing, but are at www.mcwt.org.